Okay. This is my grandmother, Teresa Runk. Tell us a little bit about your life.
Hi, my name is Teresa. I grew up in a section in Baltimore that was called Little Italy. Little Italy was very nice because it was an ethnic neighborhood. Everyone knew each other. We went to the local school, the local church. We could walk to school, leave school, go home for lunch, and walk back. It was just a neighborhood that was protected because there was a lot of mafia in the neighborhood, so it was kind of a protection to our neighborhood, even though it may not have been good for others who were outside the neighborhood. But those that lived in the neighborhood felt safe.
What was the date of JFK assassination?
It was in November of 1963.
Do you remember the day?
Not the exact day, no.
What were you doing and where were you when you found out?
I was working downtown in the city. I worked for an insurance company. It was right around lunchtime, and I heard people scrambling and crying. And by the time I got back to the office, they had informed me that the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated.
And then do you remember how he got assassinated, like what he was doing?
Who, JFK? Well, he actually was in a parade in Texas. It was Lyndon Johnson's home state, and he was in an open car, which they warned against him doing, but he did anyway.
Because it was a nice day, right?
It was a beautiful day. It was a convertible. His wife was sitting by him, and he was shot in the head, and it was so chaotic. Everybody was running, and he was in the caravan, and that's how he died.
What was your reaction to his assassination?
At first it was unbelief, hoping that they got the information wrong, hoping that maybe he just got wounded, and it was pretty shocking. By the time I did get home and my husband was watching the news, I found out the reality was that he was truly killed.
How did your family react?
It was still unbelief that something like this in our modern day could happen.
How did the media respond to his assassination? Like, was it really popular, like, for a while?
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
The media was in a frenzy. They were trying to cover exactly what went on. They kept going over and over the video footage that they had, and it was just so many things happened at one time. It was the murder of JFK, the arrest of Oswald, the murder of Oswald as he was being transported from the jail. So the news media was in constant frenzy over all the events that were taking place at one time.
Okay. You said this before, but do you know who killed JFK?
Well, at first, they just blamed it on Oswald. But after that, they all came to the conclusion that he didn't do it alone. And till this day, I really don't know that they know the answer.
What conspiracy theories do you believe could be true?
I believe that the Kennedys in charge of the government, their main goal was to get rid of organized crime, which was very powerful. There was a lot of crime bosses at that time who was against the government, against the Kennedys. So there was a lot of tragedies that happened in sequence to the Kennedys being assassinated. They even said that when Marilyn Monroe was found dead, that she was part of that conspiracy because she was in on the Kennedys, and she was also dating someone from the mafia. So it was stories always going around that it all connected to each other. There were even stories that he wasn't dead, that they just hit him in a hospital. But at that time, everyone was hoping that the story wasn't true. They were hoping that he wasn't dead. But as it goes, he was. But there's always stories that we will never know the truth about because the government doesn't let out everything that the public should know. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's still conspiracies swirling around.
What kind of president was JFK when he was alive?
JFK was a fairly good president. I was young at the time.
How old were you?
I was 20. So I wasn't in politics that much. But from all that I understood, that he was a good president. He had a good family, a nice wife, 2 young children.
What was the economy like with JFK as president?
I believe the economy was doing very well. Of course, I was only 20 years old, just got married, had a nice job, so I was mostly concentrating on just building our life together, and until JFK got assassinated, I really wasn't interested or got involved in politics.
How was the economy after with Johnson?
He certainly wasn't a good president. So I think that our country paid the penalty of losing John Kennedy.
So the nation didn't like Johnson?
Johnson wasn't a very good president.
Why?
I believe he just didn't know what he was doing.
Did you feel a sense of patriotism in the country after JFK died? So, like, in other words, did the Americans feel united?
Yes, it seems that every time there's a tragedy in America, our citizens do come together, and at that time the whole nation was mourning over JFK's death. Of tragedy that the nation came together, they prayed, they reached out to God, but the sad thing is after a few months or weeks, everything got back to normal, and it seems that it always takes a tragedy for Americans to unite.
And do you have any closing words at all about JFK?
It's still sad that our president had to be assassinated. I don't see where he did anything wrong in a fact that it would affect America in any way for anyone to kill John F. Kennedy. We've had worse presidents than that, so it was a real tragedy that had to happen.
Okay.